appearance and academic appearance. 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 Can be a source of distraction. A source of distraction. In my opinion, wearing a uniform at university is a very appropriate and effective way to campus identity. I agree that university student should wear a uniform, but not every day. Only.
Why not every day?
Because many students don't want to wear uniform daily, saying that clothes are too hot or other reasons.
Clothes
Are have other reasons.
What do you mean have other reason?
Alasan
We all know that in most university in Indonesia or perhaps around the world, students do not have to wear uniforms, but some major like healthy or nursing student are required to wear them. Personally, I believe that wearing a uniform is the best choice. There are some reason why wear a uniform is the best choice. First, it's help us to more confident and look professional, and second, it makes everyone equal. There's no difference between poor and rich students. And the last is from my own experience. In my first semester, I always wear my own clothes, and because it felt more confident, and I felt stylish. But every day I spend time too much to think what to wear tomorrow, and I often want to buy new clothes, and was not good for me. And now I wear uniform. I feel it's really helped me, so I don't worry about what's clothes to wear tomorrow. And then maybe some people think that uniform is stop to expressing themselves, but I believe that university students do not spend their all the time in the campus, but in the campus, so we can expressing ourselves not in the class but outside the class. I think that's all.
Well, yeah, in my opinion, I completely agree with this statement of my friends, and especially with the motion. And there are several reasons why I agree with it. First of all, we need to understand that uniforms, it promotes equality, unity, discipline, and even professionalism for amongst the students. And if you want to look a little bit in our country, Indonesia, students from around our country come from different backgrounds. Some of them may come from a very well-off families, and some of them could also come from a very low-income households. And I believe that having a dress code in the university allows us to reduce the peer pressure in order for us to try to compete with each other or our friends, and who has the better styles, or who wears the most branded clothes, or who has the most expensive clothes that they wear every day to campus. And that's one of the reasons why having uniforms is important, especially in campus. So it doesn't create this invisible barrier between, or competition between the students in classrooms, so they don't have to feel uncomfortable with themselves when they're in class. And yeah, that's important. And I also want to point out that, let's say in our campus, in other major like as nursery or hospitality, they tend to be required to wear uniforms for a specific occasion. Let's say they need to wear uniforms in a certain class sessions, or they need to wear for a test in their class. And that's important because it's a part of their identity in their major, and not only just in as a person who goes to that campus. So like my friends have said here, it's a part of our identity, and it's important to have uniforms because we can separate ourselves from people outside of campus. And if we don't have uniforms, how can we separate ourselves from people outside of the campus? And this is also one thing that I want to point out on practical level, on everyday basis. Like my friend Kiyasu have just said, it also reduces stress on ourselves as a student to, pick clothes every day, what we need to wear, in order for us to look presentable to our friends, our lecturers, when we already have uniforms that have been given to us by the campus. So it doesn't really have to stress us out. So our focus is to only go to campus to study instead of caring so much about our appearance in general. And lastly, one thing that people may overlook, uniforms actually help us to enhance the security systems in our campus. Now, most people don't really think too much about this, but it actually helps us to enhance the security system, because if we have uniforms, it helps to separate the people that studies here and the people that who are outsiders who don't study here. So I'm gonna give a quick example. Let's say we have a competition, and our major holds a competition, a debating competition, and that competition requires us to wear our uniforms to represent our major. Now with that uniforms, it can actually show that which major that we're from, and we can actually separate us from the outsiders that only come to watch the competition itself. So that's one of the few reasons why I think the uniforms is important.
Okay. What's your name? Okay.
I think university
Speak up.
university don't need
Okay, the four of you, okay, you mentioned a lot about self-identity, okay, right, professionalism, and equality, right, when it comes to wearing uniforms. But I don't think those things are really important, because what we have to care so much about in education is about your brain, not what you wear, okay? Just like an idiom says, don't judge a book by its cover. Even though you wear fancy clothes, as long as you don't have big brain, it means nothing. So why do you have to care so much about wearing fancy clothes, wearing uniform to show your identity? The reality is that your brain is zero. Even you're nervous when speaking in front of a lot of students, or you show inappropriate or bad attitude towards students or other people out there. So that kind of uniform is meaningless. What do you think? Okay, the main important point is your brain, not the uniform. When it comes to talking about university students, okay? I'm not referring to senior and junior high school students, okay? Because they are still in the low level of education, but you are university students. So why bother wearing our uniforms every day? The fact is, you need to prepare your brain, okay, your practical skill, instead of preparing wear a lot of fancy clothing every day to campus. What do you think? Speak up.
By wearing uniforms, the difference in social status among student can be minimized, thus reducing the pressure to dress a certain way. Uniforms help students to focus on learning rather than on personal appearance or fashion.
You said focus on learning, right? Even when you do not use uniform like that, what you're wearing right now, you can still focus on learning. How can you say that you can focus on learning only just by wearing the uniforms? How come? Right now, I'm not wearing uniforms, right? As a lecturer, but I can still focus on learning, teaching.
I didn't use my uniform because dirty.
You?
We shouldn't think of it as being like elementary, middle, or high school student wear uniform every day. Instead, we should think wear uniform makes us a leader.
What? Uniforms make you to be a leader?
Makes leader. Makes us look leader.
Oh, okay.
Okay. First, because our from English education, we must looks professional, looks clean. Because Mr. Vicky also assign our appearance, our experience, and that in Indonesia we have culture. We have culture which we must looks clean, looks professional. Sorry, sir.
Well, I think the most important thing is your brain. I don't care so much about your uniforms, whatever you wear, as long as you are smart.
But we all from English education, we are will be a teacher. So a teacher must to look disciplined, look professional. So
But
the difference
in
with
order
the
to
other
look
major.
professional, it doesn't guarantee from the uniforms. Yeah, you can still use the casual clothing like this and it's still look professional. So uniform doesn't guarantee that you are a professional student.
Okay. This is an interesting question, but maybe when we wear casual clothes, it will show the difference between
The difference
between the students.
what's your opinion about?
Can you repeat the question, sir?
No, I mean, what's your opinion about
About her
what she said?
Well, in my opinion, well, it's true that in today's job market, appearance is also one of the most important things, not just our brain. Yeah, it's true, our brain is also part of the components where it's important to be able
So
to.
which one is most important to you, the brain or the clothing?
Well, the two of them, sir. I can't choose any of them because both of them are actually important and they work together in order for us to be presentable to the people that we work with in the environment.
I think the brain should come first.
Well, in my opinion, the two of them are important, sir.
Why?
Well, if we only have our brain, then what's the point of, our brain works in order for us to think, and in order for us to think, we have to think about ourselves. How do we look presentable in front of the people? And in today's job market, it is required for us to wear uniforms as well.
Okay, let's talk about the price of the uniforms. It
Okay.
is so pricey to buy uniforms, right? So why bother buying such expensive uniforms? The fact is, you can still use the casual clothing and you can still go to campus, right? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think, Bunga?
I think I believe that the uniform will be
It is pricey. What do you think?
Well, if I could remember correctly, it's about 100 and wait, no. Yeah.
Yeah, for university students, it is pricey.
Well, yes.
So why? Why do you need to spend a lot of money for pricey things?
Well, I could argue with that because that's one of the policies that we have especially in our university. We have the policy where we need to have uniforms, and if and not only in our university but in the entire.
The
Indonesian-
policies are made by human, right?
Yes.
Not by God.
Yes, that's true. But still, we're entering the environment, so that we have to follow the policy as well.
But it's your right, it's your choice not to obey the policies, right?
right.
That's true, but
That's
I
right.
could argue with that, sir, because last time you said we need to use our brain, and our brain is a part of the reason why we need to follow the policy. If we have a
well,
brain.
in this case, brain is still 100% very important than clothing or uniforms. Okay, so I don't think it is really important for you to wear uniform to university or to college. You spend a lot of money, right? That's the first thing. The second one, you can still get money to buy the casual clothing, in which maybe you can get double clothing. You can get 2 or 3 clothing that you can use to go to campus every day. Okay. Third, talking about academic background. You here are coming from different economic background, right?
Right, sir.
And some of them are well off, or maybe a middle class, working class. So if you spend a lot of money on trying to buying or purchasing uniforms, it's gonna create unbalanced situation for those different economic background. What's your opinion?
Sir, I think that casual clothes will be spend our money than a uniform, because when we s- when we see our friends wear
Casual clothing?
casual clothing with the brand, will be eerie
Yeah, envy.
and
Envy.
will be envy, and it's bad,
Why is it bad?
because maybe our friends will be use Shopee Pay for buy the brand, and I think it's better when we use uniforms.
You can still save a lot of money wearing this casual clothes like this instead of wearing uniform. What do you think?
I think
You? You? Do you agree with me, right? You? Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Okay, yes. You? You can still, well, I said you can still save a lot of money instead of spending them to buy uniforms, which is pretty much unaffordable at some point. What do you think?
Well, in my opinion, if we're talking about, I want to point out, so we're talking
I'm
about,
talking about the price of the
yeah,
money.
so we're talking about quality over quantity here. So even if the uniform have to be pricey, but in most cases, universities don't really, sell the uniforms as pricey as it should be. It should be, affordable for any students. So why not just buy the uniforms and being able to
One
wear
of
them?
universities students complaining about the price of the uniforms.
Well, can you give examples, sir?
Yeah, some of the students said to me they're complaining about the price of the uniforms.
Well, from my personal experience, I haven't seen that. I mean, if you take a look at our class, most of us already have the uniforms, even if it's a little bit pricey, but most of us are able to actually afford that, even if it's a little bit pricey. So,
Despite the differences in
Yes.
economic background.
yes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You? Okay, talking about difference of academic background. What do you think?
Different academic background. I think maybe the poor student can be helped by our government or our
The
campus.
scholarship,
The
right?
scholarship, Abraham Foundation. So the price of the universe is not the best deal.
Okay, let me talk about the education level. Okay. I believe that those who should wear uniform are junior and senior high school students, not university students. What do you think?
Well, I agree with your first statement, but I also think that university students should wear uniforms because, first of all, as students in university, we're preparing ourselves for the working world. And as a student, we also need to look presentable and professional. Like I've said before, we need, in today's job market, most jobs require us to wear uniforms, whether that be casual clothes that they design themselves or even,
You're not in a job place already, right?
yeah, but I'm preparing myself to
So just preparing. So that's important.
well, it matters, sir, because,
You can do it later.
no,
Just
sir.
preparing right now.
I believe it's important to prepare it now rather than later because it would actually be more important for us in the long run instead of later.
Can you repeat the question, sir? Could you repeat?
Okay. I believe that those who should wear uniforms are junior and senior high school students, not university students. What's your take on this? As a university students, you should not wear uniforms. It's not important.
I think it's a
You? Come on. You? You? From the agree side. Okay, can you speak a little bit? Okay, I'm gonna go back to you.
maybe back to my own experience. When I use a uniform, it's very helped me to spend my time. So a uniform is not only for junior high school or senior high school, but a university student can wear a uniform.
When we wear uniform,
Okay, your closing statement, please. You.
Well, so overall, from equality, discipline, professionalism, and even security, all that I already said before, are the huge reasons why university students should wear uniforms. And I believe, and I will stand by my opinion, because it's important to prepare for us for the working world, and it's important for us to be professional in whatever the case that we're doing. So that's why I believe that it's important for university students should wear uniforms. That's it.
You.
So in conclusion, I think wearing a uniform is the smart choice for university student. It helps us focus more on studying rather than about fashion.
wearing a uniform has its pros and cons, which are quite difficult.
So what are those pros and cons?
There,
You.
I think by eliminating appearance factor, student can focus more on learning, not focus on learning and academic activities, not on academic activities rather than on personal appearance or fashion.
Kok tiba-tiba kamu udah berubah jadi tidak setuju ya? Konklusinya. You. Kamu tidak bisa bicara. Udah, kamu berdua punya tugas nanti sama saya. Give applause to them. Yang saya herannya begini, awalnya dia setuju, di konklusi dia tidak setuju.